Hey everyone, Chris back again with another game collection video. And this time I'm going to be focusing on one system today, and that is the Xbox Original. Now the reason I'm focusing on that today is because over the past couple of years I've collected a lot more Xbox Original games from, places like Goodwill and other thrift stores. So my collection is pretty substantial now, so I think it's a good time to show it off, kind of point out the exclusives for the system and some of the multi-platform games that are better on the Xbox, because a lot of the times a game would come out on PS2 and then get ported over to the Xbox, and not only would it have improved graphics, but a lot of the times it would have extra features. So I'm going to try to go through all the games and give you a little description about them and tell you why it's worth collecting for the Xbox. So let's get started and I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, so we're just going to get this started right away because we got a lot to get through. This is going to be a long video, guys, so hold on. Alright, first up, game I showed in my pickups video, 007 Everything or Nothing, which is a third-person 007 shooter, pretty much. Pierce Brosnan does voice in this, the only game he does voice acting on. He has a lot of other well-known actors, so yeah, move on. This one is an Xbox exclusive, Blinks the Time Sweeper. This is a platformer game, strange concept. The first 4D action game ever. And to be honest, I've never tried it. Maybe I need to. Next up, we have Black, which is a multi-platform game, but this one's made by the people who did the Burnout racing series, but this one is crazy, balls to the walls action shooter, and it's just crazy. It's got great particle effects, lots of explosions and destruction, so pretty cool. It's got decent graphics for last gen, or not last gen, 2 gens ago now. God, I feel old. Alright, next up we got an Xbox exclusive again, Breakdown. This is by Namco. It's a first-person fighting game, and it was pretty innovative at the time, but also a disappointment, at least for me, because Namco kind of released a lot of bullshit trailers. You can see this is actually from the pre-rendered trailer, and the actual graphics and animation weren't as good as they made it seem like it was going to be, so that was a bit deceptive, I thought. But still, it's a pretty unique game. It's really fucking hard, though. It's kind of a sci-fi story. It's beat 'em up. It's got some shooting, exploration, platforming, everything. It's a pretty long game too. I think I rented it back in the day and beat it in one rental. But anyways, next up we got Castlevania: Curse of Darkness. This is a multi-platform game. It's also on PS2. This is a sequel to Lament of Innocence, which is 3D Castlevania game, and this is no exception. Although this one is closer to Symphony of the Night because there's a lot more exploration. Your main character uses a variety of weapons, not just a whip. I don't think you can use a whip at all, but you can play as one of the Belmonts, I believe Trevor Belmont, because I think this takes place a little bit after Castlevania 3, which is one of the earliest Castlevania games. But yeah, it's very cool. Good game, I would suggest it. We're just going to keep moving along. Next up we have Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. This was originally an exclusive for the Xbox, but now it's on the Riddick Assault on Dark Athena disc, which also includes the new campaign. But this is still a pretty cool show of the Xbox's capabilities. Really great graphics at the time. Nice immersive first-person view and nice lighting effects based off the movie, Vin Diesel movie. Alright, Conquer Live and Reloaded. This is kind of an Xbox exclusive, at least this version, because this version was focused on the multiplayer mode, but it also includes the Conker's Bad Fur Day from N64, but it's an enhanced version of it. So it's pretty cool. It's got some censoring in the Bad Fur Day campaign, which is weird that a Nintendo game has less censoring than an Xbox version. But yeah, it's still cool, and I guess this game is kind of hard to find. Not sure how rare it is, but luckily I picked it up at launch. So yeah. Next up, game I've showed in pickup video. Crimson Skies, what can you say? Flight combat game. Yeah, it's cool. It's got nice graphics and fun gameplay. Good exclusive to pick up for the Xbox. Alright, next up, pretty cool collection disc, Dead or Alive Ultimate. And this includes 2 discs, actually. It has Dead or Alive 1, and this is the Saturn version of Dead or Alive 1, which I believe was the original. And it's obviously a little bit enhanced, a bit more high res, but this is the real gem of the collection, is the Dead or Alive 2, because this is like an enhanced port of the Dreamcast version with Xbox style graphics, kind of like Dead or Alive 3's graphics. And this collector pack also came with some cards, character cards of Kasumi and Ayane, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, pretty neat collection disc set. Glad to own it. I'm not sure how rare it is nowadays, but pretty cool. Alright, next up, we of course have then Dead or Alive 3. And this was the exclusive Xbox game. And yeah, it had great graphics, awesome backgrounds, typical Tecmo style characters, including the girls, are very voluptuous. And as you can see right there, it says, you can't see that, but it says music by Aerosmith. What song was it? Amazing, 9 Lives, and Home Tonight. Yeah, that was kind of the thing with Dead or Alive games. They always had a Aerosmith song. I believe Dead or Alive 2 had one as well for the intro, which was pretty cool. Next up, another Dead or Alive game, but this is the beach volleyball, the infamous beach volleyball. And you know, I bought this for the volleyball. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's got eye candy for people who like to fap to pixels. But me, honestly, I just bought it because it's by, you know, the creator of Ninja Gaiden, so that was my main reason, really. So, what does it say here? Featuring Dennis Rodman as the voice of Zack, and music by Bob Marley, Christina Aguilera, and Real Big Fish. Ooh, that's quality. What, did Rodman come back from a trip from North Korea or something to make this? But anyways, let's move on. Next up, we got Deus Ex Invisible War. And this was a console exclusive. It was on PC as well, but yeah, it's the second Deus Ex game. Definitely not as good as Deus Ex 1, but still a pretty cool game. Like I say, it's dumbed down from Deus Ex 1, but it's still pretty cool. Look at that shiny finish on it. But yeah, it has nice graphics too. It's obvious why it was only on Xbox, because it has really nice lighting effects and everything. But yeah. Next up, we got Dino Crisis 3, and this is another Xbox exclusive. Fortunately, it's not a very good Dino Crisis game. 1 and 2 are much better than this. This is like more of an action game than survival horror, which Dino Crisis 2 was actiony as well, but it still felt like a survival horror, where this is just like a sci-fi action game with like space dinos or alien dinos or mutant dinos, whatever the hell they are. And the camera angles can be kind of annoying in this because there's kind of semi-static camera angles, which is okay for survival horror, but for a fast-paced action game, it can get kind of annoying. But this has really good graphics, is one of the pluses. Alright, next up, one of my favorite games on Xbox Original, played this to death, Doom 3, and this is the Limited Collector's Edition. So this has a nice steelbook case, as you can see. Some really cool, there's like this classic Doom artwork. But yeah, the only difference with this is it has Doom 1 and 2 on the disc, and it has some making of videos as well. It's a pretty good port. It's dumbed down from the original PC version, but honestly, it was a miracle they got this up and running on the original Xbox because it was severely underpowered. The levels are cut down, the graphics are cut down, but it's still really fun to play, and it still looks really nice for Xbox standards. Alright, and then next up we have its expansion, Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil. And I never thought this was going to come to Xbox Original, but it did, and I was happy about that. This one's actually closer to the PC Original, at least in the level layout. It has all the same levels as the original, or the Resurrection of Evil on PC. But obviously the graphics are worse, and the levels are cut into sections. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it has every single level. The main thing with this, I think it had the double-barreled shotgun and a like a demonic artifact that you use to slow down time and do other crazy stuff. So yeah, it's a cool expansion. Alright, and then we have this one I found at Goodwill, Driver Parallel Lines. Now, supposedly this was a decent driver game, but the one before it, Driver 3, was horrible, and this was kind of a response to that. I'm not sure how good this actually is, but I think it's better than Driver 3, supposedly. So yeah, it's kind of an open world driving game. But yeah, I have the first 2 games on PS1. Haven't played this too much, just tested it out. Has pretty nice graphics, I guess, for older generations. Alright, we got 4 more stacks like that, so let's keep it going. Next up, we got Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, Game of the Year Edition. And this is obviously in the Elder Scrolls series and has Morrowind, Tribunal, and Blood Moon expansions. And yeah, it's dated, but still a really great RPG. I would play the PC version, though. It's much more technically sound at this point with all the mods and such. Alright, next up, we got Fable The Lost Chapter, and this is the kind of Game of the Year edition of Fable 1. And you can pretty much get this version on 360 and PC now as the Fable Anniversary, which I do have on 360. But this one's still pretty interesting because it was really good use of the Xbox hardware. It's actually on a custom graphics engine, whereas the Anniversary Edition is on the Unreal Engine. So there's some minor differences, but overall Anniversary is really good. But yeah, this is a good reason, or a good game to pick up to show off your Xbox's power. Alright, next up we have another game I played to death, Far Cry Instincts. Back then I didn't have a PC powerful enough to play Far Cry 1, so this was what I had to settle for. Originally it was going to be a straight port of Far Cry 1, but they changed it and gave it the Instincts subtitle because your character is gets animal abilities pretty much. He can slash enemies and jump really high, run really fast, and have crazy vision mode. But yeah, it's overall it's kind of dumbed down from the PC version, obviously, but it's still really fun. I had a lot of fun playing the multiplayer in this game. So yeah. Alright. Next up is the expansion to that, Far Cry Instincts Evolution. Now, both of these games were put into one collection on 360 called Far Cry Instincts Predator. But these are still pretty cool versions. They're great graphics. It shows off the Xbox power really well. The newer version, Predator, is good, but it does have some issues that aren't in this. Predator has kind of bad analog aiming controls. There's a really large dead zone on the analogs, so it can be annoying to aim. And they actually fixed that issue in a patch, but only for the multiplayer mode. So the single player in Predator is still fucked up aiming wise, and there's some other visual glitches, but yeah, it's still cool, and I like playing both versions, I guess. But anyways, let's move on. Next we have a PS2 port. This is Fatal Frame, the Xbox version, obviously. this one has better graphics than the PS2 version, but I don't think the first one had a ton of extras. It might have a few, but they weren't major. It was mostly graphical improvements. And then next up, we have Fatal Frame 2 Director's Cut. Now this one had a lot more improvements over the PS2 version. I think they list them on the back here. Yes, Special Director's Cut Edition features brand new first-person shooter mode, new survival mode, enhanced graphics and sound, plus an array of newly added features to the unique camera weapon. So yeah, this has a lot of extras and it looks a lot better. So I was really glad to find these back in the day. Alright, next up, another PS2 port, and this is Genma Onimusha. It's a port of Onimusha 1 that was originally on PS2. And this one also has a lot of extra features, not just graphical enhancements. It's got new areas to explore, evolving enemies, enhanced action, and modified difficulty level. This has tons of stuff, like new enemies, new attack mode, stronger enemies, more than twice the gameplay of the original. So yeah, some of the scripted events are different in this. There's new enemy types. I believe there's a new weapon, and the weapons you have different magic attacks if you power them up. Pretty sure, but I haven't played this in a while. But still, it's a pretty cool version. PS2 version is still awesome as well. Alright, next up, this game, Gun, which I showed in my pickups video. And I have not played this much, but it's a Wild West third-person shooter with some exploration elements. Alright, next we have this one, Gun Valkyrie, and this one's an Xbox exclusive by Sega. I think it's made by Smilebyte, who also did the Panzer Dragoon Orta. And this is just kind of a third-person arcadey shooter. It's very similar to... It's kind of like Burning Rangers in a way with the movement, because you kind of use a jetpack to like jet side to side. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Japanese style, crazy third-person action shooter game. Cool Xbox exclusive. And then we have this, which is a PC port, Half-Life 2. And once again, this was the only way I could play Half-Life 2 back in the day before I had a gaming PC. And yeah, it's a rough port. Graphics are really dumbed down, long load times, but still, it was the full game. I don't think there was any changes made to the levels. So yeah, it was serviceable for me back in the day. But nowadays, it's more of a curiosity just to see how they got this game running on the Xbox. You should get Orange Box on 360 or PC instead nowadays. Alright, next up, game that made Xbox famous, Halo Combat Evolved. Wasn't too into this. I didn't even pick up the Xbox for this game. I picked it up for Panzer Dragoon. But then I bought this and I played it and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And nowadays it's still one of the best Halo campaigns in my opinion. But you can get the Master Chief Collection now on Xbone, or you can get Halo Anniversary on 360, they're both enhanced ports. But still, it's cool to play the original, how it all started. Alright, next up, we of course have, what do you think? Halo 2. And this is the limited collector's edition. Similar fake steelbook case like Doom 3 has. And dumb thing about this was they stack the discs on top of each other. So it has like a making of disc. But yeah, I don't have to say much about Halo 2, do I? Nah, I don't think so. Once again, that's available on the Master Chief Collection. It's also on PC. Alright, next up, Hitman 2. This was a really great version of Hitman, the best version on console. But nowadays you can get... the Hitman HD collection, which I do have. So there's not much point of this anymore. Still, it was a really good version of the game. Then of course I have this as well, Hitman Contracts, which, yeah, again, this was the best version of Hitman Contracts other than the PC version. So yeah, you know about the Hitman series. You're an assassin, stealth game, use disguises, stuff like that. Next up, yeah, this game, Indigo Prophecy, which is called Fahrenheit in the UK. And it's by the people who did Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. But this is what they debuted with, I believe. And it's a really good game. The North American version, Indigo Prophecy, is censored though. So I would suggest playing this on PC, the Fahrenheit, so you can get the fully uncensored one. But still, this is a really nice version of it other than the censoring. Okay, next up, Xbox exclusive, and that is Jade Empire. And this is the limited edition again. The difference with this, it has a extra disc that has, I believe, 2 other characters to install to the hard drive. And this is by BioWare, the makers of Mass Effect and Knights of the Old Republic. And it's very similar to Knights of the Old Republic, kind of with the dialogue and exploration. But this is a, melee combat game. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's in like a fictional kind of fantasy China. So yeah, really cool holographic cover here. You can kind of see. But yeah, it's a cool RPG. Alright, so we got 3 more stacks of games and we're already 20 minutes in. So let's just keep moving. Try to speed this up. Next we have Jet Set Radio Future, which is a skating graffiti spraying game, cel shaded by Sega. Real classic. It's a sequel to the Dreamcast game. Alright, we're going to start speeding up. Next up we got Max Payne 1. This is the best version of Max Payne. Third person shooter. Classic. Most people know about this. But yeah, this is the best console version of Max Payne 1. Then, of course, again, Max Payne 2. And again, this is the best console version. It was also on PS2, but this one's much superior. But then again, the PC version is the best. And I played this one to death. It's one of my favorite games ever. Alright, next up. This one I picked up recently, which I showed, Mech Assault, mech combat game, Xbox exclusive. Not much needs to be said. And then again, I'll go through these really quick. Medal of Honor, which I showed you, World War II shooter. That was Frontline, and then Rising Sun, and European Assault, which I showed in my last video, so we'll just skip through those. Next up, this is a great game, Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction. And this is a third-person open world game, military-based. The first game was excellent. I don't think this one was ever ported to PC, just on PS2 and Xbox, but the Xbox version is the best. This one's way better than Part 2, so I would definitely suggest that to get that on the Xbox. Alright, next up we have the Xbox port of Metal Slug 3. Now, it kind of sucks that there was only one game in this, but this is a really good version. It's pretty much Neo Geo perfect, and it's got a little extra mode. I forget what it was called. It's kind of like a survival mode, I believe, like a time attack mode. But yeah, this is a really great version. It's unfortunate there's only one game, but it's even better than the PS2 anthology version of 3 because the PS2 version had a lot of bad loading times throughout it. But yeah, this is the best version. It's really hard though because there's not unlimited continues, so I've never actually beaten this version. It's really, really tough. Alright, next up, Myst 3 Exile. I believe this one wasn't made by Cian. It was just like produced by them. Ubisoft made this one, and this is the Xbox version. This was also on, I think, PS2. Yeah, I did a comparison video of this on my channel, which you can check out. But the Xbox version is definitely the best. Shortest load times, better looking graphics, I'd say, more high def and everything. So yeah, get this version if you want a console version of Myst 3. It's a puzzle game if you guys don't know what Myst is. Puzzle adventure. And then, of course, I have Myst 4 Revelation. And again, this one's made by Ubisoft, not Cian. So, yeah, it's really nice graphics. Great puzzle adventure game. And this one's only on Xbox. It's not on PS2. And it's also on PC, obviously. But, yeah, great game to pick up on the original Xbox if you love the Myst series. Alright, next up, one game that made Xbox really famous as well, Ninja Gaiden. This is the original Ninja Gaiden. And yeah, it's cool. Great action game. This has unlockable versions of... Oh no, it's the unlockable version of the SNES Ninja Gaiden trilogy, which is okay. It's not as good as the NES ones, but yeah, the game itself is great. But later on, this one came out, Ninja Gaiden Black, which is the best version of Ninja Gaiden 1, and many people would agree with that. There was, the Ninja Gaiden Sigma, but it changed a lot of things. I believe this version is the best. It has a lot of extras, a lot of new weapons, new enemies, lots of new stuff. It's a great game. Awesome. Great reason to get the Xbox. Alright, next up, we have Oddworld Munch's Odyssey, and this was an Xbox exclusive at the time. I think it was a launch title too, and people were wowed by the graphics. I didn't like the gameplay as much as the 2D Oddworld, but yeah, now you can get this on pretty much every system, digital download. So yeah, there's not a ton of reason to get this on here other than a history lesson about the Xbox's launch games. And then, of course, we have this as well, Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, which continues. It's the 4th Oddworld game. And this is more of a third-person shooter, but you shoot animals for ammo. And it's kind of Western themed. But now you can get Stranger's Wrath HD on multiple consoles, and you can even get it on Vita. So not much point of this version, but at the time, this was a really great exclusive. Alright, 2 piles left. We're getting there. Next up, another Xbox exclusive, Otogi, Myth of Demons. And this is, I believe, From Software game. Yes, so this is the makers of the Dark Souls series, Demon Souls, and now Bloodborne. So yeah, this is an action game in ancient Japan. Has a lot of destruction, throwing enemies into buildings and stuff, and I thought it was kind of simplistic. Like, the combat doesn't seem like it has a lot of moves, but maybe I didn't play it enough. But it's a good game to get on the Xbox. And then, of course, I have Otogi 2, which is the sequel. And I have not played this one a ton, but supposedly this is vastly improved over the original. So yeah. So any fans of Dark Souls or Demon Souls or Bloodborne would probably want to pick that up. And next is one of the main reasons I bought the Xbox, the Panzer Dragoon Orta, which is the 4th Panzer Dragoon game, 4th and final one, unfortunately. They did make Crimson Dragon, which is unrelated to this story, but spiritual successor. But this was amazing. It still has amazing graphics nowadays. You can play it on the 360, backwards compatible, and it has unlockable Panzer Dragoon 1 on it, which is the PC version. But yeah, amazing rail shooter, awesome story. Awesome art design, awesome music, awesome everything. Alright, next up, really great version of Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. Much better looking than the PS2 version, and I believe this is the only version that has unlockable Prince of Persia 1 and 2 on the disc. The classic Prince of Persia 2D ones. I don't think the PS2 version has that unlockable. So this is a really great version to get for that reason alone. It's an awesome game as well. Alright, next up, another one I showed in my pickups video, I believe, Project Gotham Racing 2. Well-known Xbox exclusive racing game. We'll move on. Next up, pretty cool multi-platform game, PsyOps, the Mindgate Conspiracy. And this is kind of a third-person action, psychic powers type game. Has nice ragdoll effects when you throw the enemies around, and it's fun to kill guys. And this is made by the people who did the game Stranglehold, the John Woo's Stranglehold. So it's kind of similar in a way, but yeah, this is very cool, and this is the best console version to get. And again, another multi-platform, Red Faction 2. And again, the best looking version of Red Faction 2. And probably fastest load times, I'm sure. But yeah, this series is all about destruction, and the old games were first-person shooters and more linear. But a lot of people didn't like this one because there wasn't as much destruction, but I actually really like the campaign on it. Alright, next up, a really good version of Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Tides of War. I believe every version of this game had subtle differences in the levels. Like, I think PS2 might have had its own exclusive levels, and this one has its own as well. And then the PC versions, I mean, they're all ports of the PC version, but they have little extras for the console versions. This one also has an unlockable Wolfenstein 3D, which isn't the best port of Wolfenstein 3D, but it's still cool that you can unlock it. I think this has co-op too. Yes, it does. So split screen co-op is cool to have. And then this is just kind of a run-of-the-mill Samurai Shodown 5 port. Samurai Shodown 5 isn't my favorite one, and this is just the vanilla version. I believe there was Samurai Shodown 5 Special on Neo Geo, and it had, I think, better death moves or something. And this one's just kind of, I mean, it's a cool fighting game, but I say Samurai Shodown 1 and 2 were my favorites. Alright, next up, another multi-platform game, Second Sight, but this is the best console version because it has the best frame rate, best loading, best graphics. But this is another third-person shooter / psychic power game, similar to what was it called? Psyops. But this is made by Free Radical, which is the Time Splitters developers. And it's on the same engine as Time Splitters, so it's very smooth gameplay. Kind of stealthy more than shooting. Oh, and now we have another one that was only on Xbox in the US. That is Shenmue 2, the legendary Shenmue series. It's a fighting / RPG adventure game that was never finished. This is the last game, and this was the only way to play it in English in the United States, although this did come out on Dreamcast in Europe. But yeah, wish they'd finish the series. But this version has Shenmue 1, the movie disc, to catch you up on the first game. But yeah, they're never going to make Shenmue 3, I know that, but it would be nice if they at least like released the story of how this game ends, because it ends on a huge cliffhanger. Alright, now we got another PS2 port. That is Silent Hill 2, Restless Dreams. And this added a lot of extras over the PS2 original. There's a playable Maria campaign. I believe there's new weapons, and the graphics are better. But later on, all the extras in this version were ported to PS2 in the Greatest Hits version of Silent Hill 2. But still, this is a great looking version of the game. But then again, if you want the best looking version of Silent Hill 2, play the PC version, because you can do widescreen mods. Now this one is, I guess, technically an Xbox original game. It also works on 360, but it's Burger King game, Sneak King. And this is, I bought this for the lulz. I think you had to go buy a Whopper or something to get this. And yeah, I'm like, okay, a stealth game where he plays the king and hide in trash cans and give people burgers. That's worth owning. But, yeah, maybe I should do a Let's Play of this for a joke. Alright, and then this I showed in my pickups video, Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man game. And I assume the Xbox version is the best looking, but not super into that. Just got it because it was cheap. Alright, we're on the final pile of games now. Hope you guys haven't fallen asleep. Alright, next up we got Star Wars Jedi Outcast, or Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. It's kind of weird. They say Star Wars Jedi Outcast Jedi Knight 2, so the other way around. But anyways, it's a port of the PC game. Runs on the Quake 3 engine. Awesome, awesome game. This version isn't as good as the PC, obviously, but this was also on GameCube, and the Xbox version is much better, just because, you know, obviously better graphics, better frame rate on this version, and the controls are better because you have more buttons on the Xbox pad than GameCube, so you could assign force powers to those extra buttons, which was really handy. And the multiplayer in this is really fun because it has split screen with bots, so you can have big Jedi battles, which is fun. So I would highly recommend this. Alright, next up, we have the sequel, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. And this was cool because you could create your own Jedi student and your lightsaber style. So you could do single lightsaber, double lightsaber staff. You could change your stance, and you could customize your powers, and you could choose which missions you played. I think they gave you a choice of a couple missions every couple levels, so pretty neat. Good game. Next up, we have an interesting little disc. This is Star Wars Clone Wars and also Tetris Worlds. So they combined, it's a weird combination. So you can see the disc has both artwork on it. But yeah, for some reason, I don't know if this originally came with both instruction manuals, but yeah, kind of a weird combo. It's the Clone Wars, it's kind of a vehicle combat game, and Tetris. It's Tetris. So anyways, next up we have another Star Wars game, Knights of the Old Republic, BioWare's famous Star Wars RPG, which is now an MMO, which I don't really care about because I only like single player games. But yeah, this is a classic. We know all about that series. And next is the sequel, Knights of the Old Republic 2, but this was made by Obsidian, which is former Black Isle employees who did the Fallout series. And yeah, the recent game they did was Fallout New Vegas. But yeah, this game was kind of rushed, so I think it's kind of glitchy, but still, fans love this sequel. Alright, we're getting there. Another Xbox exclusive. Oh, and those two Star Wars games, Knights of the Republic, were Xbox exclusive on console, but they were also on PC. Alright, next up we got Stubbs the Zombie, Rebel Without a Pulse. And this is from some of the original Halo developers broke off and made wide load games, I guess, and it's on the Halo 1 engine, but it's kind of a comical 1940s, 1950s style zombie game where you play as a zombie, you take over people, you can use crazy zombie weapons like, I think you can like throw your guts as grenades and crazy shit like that, and it's got a cool like 1950s soundtrack, or it's a bunch of covers of 1940s, 1950s songs. But yeah, it's really cool exclusive. Highly recommended. Alright, next up, another PS2 port as usual. It has a lot of these. Tenchu Return from Darkness. And this is a port of Tenchu Wrath of Heaven for PS2. And this has, I believe, 2 extra levels and some new weapons and such, I believe, and better graphics. So I think that's all. Oh, and then it had an online co-op mode. I can't remember if the PS2 version had split-screen co-op or not, but yeah, it has online co-op or split-screen co-op, and yeah, lots of nice extras. This is a great, great Tenchu game. I wish the series would come back. The last Tenchu-style game we got was Shinobido 2 on PlayStation Vita, which is kind of the spiritual successor to this series. Alright, next up, I have this game, Thief, Deadly Shadows, or Thief 3. And, I don't know, this version isn't that great. I would say you should play the PC version instead. But at the time, this had really nice graphics. But one fatal flaw in this game, it had a game-breaking glitch where I think if you saved and reloaded, it reset your difficulty down to normal. So you could never truly play it on hard, because not only would it reset to normal when you reload, it also resets to normal when you go through a load point twice. And that glitch was fixed on the PC version, but not on this. So if you play this version, just know you'll probably be playing on normal difficulty most of the time. So yeah, but really nice graphics, at least for the Xbox. It's good for that reason. It's immersive stealth game. Alright, next up, we have a multi-platform game, Time Splitters 2. Now this was the first Time Splitters that got ported to Xbox. Time Splitters 1 was still PS2 exclusive. But yeah, this is the best version of Time Splitters 2. Not that the other versions were bad. There's not a huge difference, but this is just slightly better looking than the other ones. So yeah, great first-person shooter. Pretty much the GoldenEye / Perfect Dark spiritual successor. And then of course we have its sequel, the third Time Splitters game, Future Perfect. And again, this is the best console version. I think this was on PC as well. I can't remember, but yeah, this is a great game to pick up on the original Xbox. Both of these, just because, you know, they got fun campaigns, but the multiplayer is really where it's at. They got bots. You can create levels. It's just a lot of fun. All right, next up, almost getting done. There's another one I showed in the pickups video. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Island Thunder. It's the second Ghost Recon game on Xbox, I believe. So yeah, squad-based, third-person shooter, tactical. All right, next up, you have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six 3. And yeah, this was a really popular Xbox Live title. I think it had co-op and competitive multiplayer as well. It's kind of dated nowadays. It'd probably be better off playing the PC version, but I believe I got this for free when I pre-ordered Far Cry Instincts, either Instincts or Evolution, and GameStop was doing a promo where they gave you this for free. So that's why I own it. Alright, next up, another game that kind of made the Xbox famous, Splinter Cell, the original Splinter Cell. This was eventually ported to GameCube and PS2, and it was put on PC as well. But yeah, this was where it originally came out on. And it had great graphics, great lighting effects. Michael Ironside is the voice of Sam Fisher. Great stealth, espionage type game. Lots of hiding in shadows and stuff. Kind of dated nowadays, and you can get it on the HD collection for PS3. And then of course we have the sequel, Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. I think at this point they made these multi-platform right away. Or at least, this might have came out on Xbox first, I can't remember. But this had the Spies versus Mercenaries multiplayer mode, which was really popular. And it was kind of more the same as Splinter Cell 1, just a little bit better graphics and new campaign. And I think the voice of your boss Lambert was played by the same guy who played President Palmer in the TV series 24. So that's kind of interesting. But it was kind of weird because his voice changed from the first game to the second. But anyways, and then of course we have the third game, one of the best Splinter Cells ever made, in my opinion, Chaos Theory. And I've got the limited collector's edition here. Again, with a fake steelbook, not real steelbook brand, but similar style. And of course it has a bonus DVD. So yeah, this is really great. Great Splinter Cell, great gameplay, lets you play the missions how you want to play them, great graphics. It was mind-blowing graphics at the time when this came out. There wasn't much else that looked this good. But nowadays you can get this again on the HD collection for PS3, which is decent, but it's missing the co-op mode that this has. So this had, anyways, online co-op. I think it has Spies versus Mercenaries, and it has split-screen co-op. And I think it has downloadable co-op missions as well, which I did download before the Xbox original online went down. So yeah, this is a great version to have, honestly. Alright, 2 more left. Of course, we got another Splinter Cell, Double Agent, but not to be confused with the 360 and PS3 Double Agent. This is its own original campaign, just for the Xbox. Well, this was also ported to Wii and PS2, but this is the best version of it. And yeah, it's a totally different campaign than the 360 version, and it's better, honestly, because this is more like Chaos Theory than the 360 Double Agent was. And yeah, this was made by Ubisoft Montreal, I believe, whereas the 360 version was made by Ubisoft Singapore. So you can definitely tell this is the true Splinter Cell Double Agent. Just better gameplay, more in depth, all that. It's comparable nowadays to how Assassin's Creed Unity is dumbed down and kind of sucks compared to how Assassin's Creed Rogue on last gen is the better game. It's very comparable, same situation here. Alright, final game. And this is one I showed in my pickups video. That is Turok Evolution. And yeah, this is the 4th Turok game. Pretty fun first-person shooter, kill dinosaurs. That's pretty much it. Turok. So yeah, that is it. And I guess I'll give you a quick look over here. That is the pile of Xbox games that I just showed you. So that's why the video took so long. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed. Hope you're still awake and conscious and you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like. And if you haven't subscribed, do so. And let me know in the comments what Xbox original games I still need to get. Well, I know some of them. There's the one game, Jaeger, that I'd really like to pick up. It's like a flight combat game again. And there's some other exclusives that I still need to get. But yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. See you later.